All right, let's dive right in and totally shatter the absolute biggest myth that's holding senior executives back from self-petition immigration to the United States. Look, if you're a director, a VP, a C-suite executive, or a founder, you've probably wondered, do I even have a shot at an EB-1A or an EB-2 national interest waiver? Well, spoiler alert, you absolutely do. And today, we're unpacking exactly how you get there. You know, I want to start by acknowledging a very real thing, and that's the imposter syndrome so many business leaders feel. When immigration attorneys talk about these visa categories, they almost always default to talking about academic researchers, right? Scientists with PhDs, folks with dozens of peer-reviewed papers. But when you look at the source material, the criteria were deliberately written for all professional domains. Business is explicitly named. The problem isn't that you don't qualify. The real problem is just that nobody has shown you how your specific business achievements actually translate into bulletproof immigration evidence. And honestly, the difference in what immigration is looking for, it's completely night and day. Researchers are submitting things like academic citations, federal grants, and peer-reviewed journals. But your world as a business professional is completely different. We aren't looking for academic papers. We're looking at real business outcomes. Things like market impact, high salary metrics, press coverage, and major P&L responsibility. USCIS literally approves thousands of these petitions every single year for leaders who have never even set foot inside a research lab. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start by debunking the academic myth, then we'll open up the EB-1A business toolkit and explore the EB-2 NIW pathway. After that, we'll dive into some real-world executive case studies, lay out a concrete 12-month action plan, and finally answer the million-dollar question, EB-1A or EB-2 NIW. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the academic immigration myth. If you actually read the regulation for the EB-1A Extraordinary Ability Visa, the crucial thing to note is that the word business is literally the fourth word in the statute. It's not some hidden carve-out. It's not a special exception. It is a primary foundational category. And the exact same thing goes for the EB-2 NIW under the Donisar framework, which explicitly points to business and entrepreneurialism as areas of substantial merit. So rest assured, the law is unambiguously on your side here. Moving right along to Section 2, the EB-1A Business Toolkit. So our first major tool is the critical or essential role criterion, and this is vital to understand. You must prove your specific role drove real outcomes at a recognized company. Relying purely on your company's prestige is a super common trap. Honestly, having a VP title at a tech giant like Google, but without evidence of your critical contribution, is actually a weaker case than being a division head at a mid-market company where you have a documented clear-cut $200 million revenue impact. You absolutely need both pieces of the puzzle, the critical role and the distinguished organization. So how do we actually prove this? Well, you have to gather evidence that quantifies your specific contribution. We're talking about tangible things, organizational charts showing exactly where you sit in the hierarchy, the specific budgets you managed, and clear before and after revenue metrics. You're also going to need 3 to 5 hyper-specific letters from senior executives that detail the exact decisions you made that changed the company's trajectory, not just generic praise, okay? We need hard, verifiable facts. Now let's talk about the high salary criterion. This one is incredibly powerful. If your total compensation, and yes, that includes your base, your equity, and your bonuses, puts you at or above the 90th percentile for your specific role and city using official Bureau of Labor Statistics data, you nail this criterion. You prove this using W-2s, employment contracts, and 409A valuations for equity. It's awesome because it's one of the few criteria where the proof might literally be sitting in your desk drawer right now. Next up, we have published material and memberships. Now, the absolute golden rule for press is that it must be about you. Please don't submit some general industry trend article where you're just quoted in passing for one sentence. You need major features in places like Forbes or top-tier trade publications that actually center on your work. And as for memberships, writing a check to your local chamber of commerce just isn't going to cut it. The bar here is elite expert judge networks. Think along the lines of the Young Presidents Organization or selective government advisory boards that actually require outstanding, proven achievements just to get your foot in the door. Our final tool in the EB-1A kit is original contributions of major significance. Look, hitting $1 billion in revenue is phenomenal business performance, no doubt about it. But USCIS wants to see an original business framework. They want a novel operational strategy or a proprietary methodology that you created, which the rest of the industry actually adopted. Like, did you design a product that defined an entire category? Did your competitors literally copy your supply chain model? You have to focus on what you created that spread like wildfire to others. All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, the EB-2 NIW pathway. This entire pathway revolves around the Donisar framework, which has three main prongs. First, you need to map your business endeavor directly to U.S. national priorities. Think of a supply chain leader who's actively building up domestic manufacturing. Second, you have to prove you're uniquely well-positioned to advance this goal based on your track record. And third, you have to show why standard employer sponsorship just doesn't make sense for you. For instance, if you're a founder creating your own company, you simply can't go through the standard perm labor certification process. The argument for waiving the requirement in that case practically writes itself. Let's move on to Section 4 and look at some real executive case studies. This is where it gets really fascinating, just seeing the contrast in strategies across completely different roles. Take a fintech founder, for example. They can leverage a massive venture funding round and acceptance into an accelerator like Y Combinator to easily nail the membership and original contribution criteria. On the flip side, a management consultant whose best work is locked behind strict NDAs, they have to strategically pivot to publishing anonymized white papers to hit their marks. Meanwhile, a tech VP or a healthcare COO might lean really heavily on their massive P&L impact and that 90th percentile compensation we talked about. The strategy bends and flexes to fit your specific career reality. Okay, bringing us to Section 5, the 12-month action plan. If you take away anything from this explainer, let it be this. Most executives do not have an achievement gap. What you have is an evidence architecture gap. You've already done the hard work. You just need a blueprint to properly document it. So in months 1 and 2, you lock in those salary benchmarks. Then you proactively pitch your leadership philosophies to the trade press. By months 3 to 5, you're securing advisory board seats. And then you follow that up by publishing white papers on your original frameworks. It is a highly deliberate step-by-step process designed to manufacture the exact evidence USCIS demands all over a 12-month period. And finally, Section 6. Which one do you choose? EB-1A or EB-2 NIW? So what's the actual play here? Well, for most senior business leaders, the winning strategy is actually a two-step combo. You file the EB-2 NIW immediately. Why? Because it locks in your earliest possible priority date, which is absolutely crucial if you're subject to visa backlogs. Plus, the national impact arguments are often naturally very strong for executives right out of the gate. Then you embark on that 12-month evidence-building program we just outlined. Once you have rock-solid proof for 3 of those 5 EB-1A criteria, like the 90th percentile pay and specific press features, you go ahead and file the EB-1A petition with premium processing. It's a fantastic 1-2 punch. So I want you to evaluate your own career against these criteria right now. The law was explicitly designed to welcome business leaders who drive the economy forward. You just haven't been playing the right game. You already have the achievements. Now it's time to build the architecture. So ask yourself, what exact pieces of verifiable evidence are you going to start building tomorrow to secure your immigration future? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.